Hello, BookTube. I've got some mail for you today on an overcast Sunday that simply will not relinquish the threat of rain. It rained on and off, sometimes pounding rain last night, and it was drizzling this morning, and then off again, on again, drizzling, so that even when it looks fairly clear, you could still get caught in the rain. Uh, a otherwise lovely day, nice and temperate. A day of considerable toil for yours truly. Considerable domestic toil that involves sweeping, maybe even scrubbing. But we do have some packages that we can look at and talk about, and also a periodical, at least a piece of one. The New Yorker has already been torn to pieces. I've already torn it apart and written about it. But I wanted to read to you something from the letters page. In a previous issue, Carrie Batan, I think was her name. Yeah, Carrie Batan wrote a piece about all the nicotine substitutes that are flooding the market for kids, Zyn and whatnot, that are just flooding the market, so that the kids 5 years old and up, I guarantee you that you might not know it, but I guarantee you they're taking the 21st century equivalent of snuff all the time, pretty much constantly, pretty much whenever you're not looking at them directly. There was a piece in the New Yorker about that. It was an infuriating piece for me, but it got two letters. There are two letters that came about that piece. Both of them are here in the letters column, and I want to do a little experiment, see how perceptive your reading ear is. One of these letters is written by someone who is a fraud, someone who was bought by Big Tobacco. And if you think Big Tobacco does not have billions of dollars in Zyn and products like it, you are mistaken. That's the kindest way to put it. You are mistaken. Big Tobacco has private armies. They have their own diplomats. They almost have their own currency. They don't allow competition. One of the writers of these letters has been found by Big Tobacco and thoroughly bought by them. Tuitions paid, mortgage paid off, vacations paid. And the other one has not. Let's see if you can tell the difference. Here's the first letter. Carrie Batan's recent article on nicotine pouches and snus reads more like a soft endorsement than like a discerning examination. In focusing on how products like Zyn can be employed as harm reduction tools for adult smokers, she basically ignores the young users whose nicotine addiction started with these products. She writes that the rate of underage pouch usage is low at 1.8%, without noting that the pouches are nonetheless the second most popular tobacco product among young people. She also doesn't point out that the methodology of that survey is wrong, and that 1.8 is a tenth of what the number is. Unlike cigarettes, nicotine pouches are alarmingly easy for teenagers to conceal. We know that nicotine can disrupt brain development. With pouches, kids can now take in large amounts of it without anyone noticing. The habit can also lead to smoking. It inevitably does lead to smoking. It's also concerning that the long-term effects of these pouches on oral health are still unknown. Our children shouldn't serve as lab rats for an industry that has a long history of valuing profits over public health. That's one letter. Now we'll read the second letter and see if you note any differences. As a clinical psychologist focused on population health in a primary care setting, I was delighted to read Batan's piece. Smoking is still, in 2025, the leading cause of preventable mortality and morbidity in America. When I'm counseling patients about quitting smoking, I explain to them that any other form of nicotine use will reduce the chance of life-threatening outcomes. I appreciated that Batan underscored risk calculation in the conclusion of the piece. In a broader context, if you were to regularly drive a motor vehicle, walk on the city sidewalks, or ride a bike, you would almost certainly be putting yourself at more risk than you would be by popping in a Zyn pouch. Smokers would be wise to consider the switch safe. So you tell me which of those people you think is honest. Anyway, let's move on to the books, and we'll just hope for cheerier stuff here. Let's see what we have here. We've got a few packages to go through on a Sunday that just refuses to be its full self. How I would have liked it if this Sunday had been bright, unapologetically sunny, maybe high 70s, low 80s, something like that. But no. So let's see Oh, fantastic. Okay, great. This comes out in June. This is the new James Lee Burke. This is Don't Forget Me, Little Bessie. Let's see here. This is the most thrilling and insightful story yet, through the eyes of 14-year-old Bessie Holland. At the beginning of the 20th century, as America grapples with the forces of human and natural violence more powerful than humanity has ever seen, Bessie Holland yearns for the love that she has never known. She finds a soulmate and mentor in a brilliant but tormented suffragette English teacher who inspires Bessie to fight the forces of evil that permeate the world. Watching the vast Texas countryside being destroyed by an oil company and a menacing figure with a violent past, Bessie is prepared to defend her home and her family. But when she accidentally kills an unarmed man to defend her father, Hackberry, she must flee to New York. There, her older brother introduces her to boys who will grow into gangsters, but as children admire and respect Bessie's spirit and fortitude as she is cast into a gangland that yearns for justice and mercy. This is a welcome return to the beloved Holland series and populated with characters both radiant and despicable. Needless to say, I agree with all of them. This author has a huge amount of credit in the bank of Steve, just huge. So I don't need to be sold on a new James Lee Burke novel. I don't really care if it's a Holland family novel or a Robichaux novel. I don't really care. So this is in June. Don't Forget Me, Little Bessie. And who will those gangsters be? I bet a couple of them will have familiar names. Then let's do this next one. Oh, it's another finished copy. That's good. What is this other finished copy? Oh, great. Okay. All right. You may have already seen this. You wouldn't have seen it on my channel, but you may have already seen this on David Murphy's channel. This is the finished copy of Lawrence Rees's book, The Nazi Mind, 12 Warnings from History. We saw the advanced copy of this on this channel. This comes out in early May, so this goes on the May bookshelf. Democracy is under threat today. The recent influx of nationalist policies, extremist thinking, and censorship bear ominous similarities to the past, making it more important than ever to revisit history and understand how and why dictators rise to power. I often wonder, it's pointless to wonder, but I often wonder what MAGA thinks of this. This is not outliers anymore. This is not the extreme. This is not, Keith Olbermann yelling into the void. It is now common in a mainstream publication publicity sheet, for Pete's sake, much less literally everywhere else. It is now commonplace to equate MAGA with Nazism. And I wonder, 200 million people in this country are MAGA. I wonder what they think. I reflexively wonder what they think when they see what is now a commonly accepted comparison. Sociology experts, historians of Nazi Germany, psychologists, it's now commonly accepted that this is the same thing, and this is a direct equivalent with Nazism. I have the reflex to wonder that, but I know they don't care. They don't think about it. Or of those 200 million, probably 80 million, maybe 90 million are happy with the comparison. But still, what a weird thing it must be to just... Anyway, drawing from previously unpublished testimony from former Nazis, plus insight from psychologists, this book explores the mindsets and contexts that catalyzed the most repulsive regime in human history. Best-selling author and award-winning historian Lawrence Rees, I think in David's video he said that Rees generally likes this guy as a writer, as a historian, so do I. I think he's fairly careful, fairly good. He explains how people from supposedly cultured nations perpetuated and excused horrific violence and genocide, and what relevance this terrible past has for us today. Yeah, I'm sure you're thinking the same things that I am. I'm sure you are. As I've said many times before, the correspondences are exact to everything except proper names. The names are the only thing that's different. At this early stage would be basically instead of 2025, it would be 1935. So at this early stage, there were still judges who ruled on the law instead of the leader's will, the boss's will. At this early stage, the public could still, in their minds, deny the existence black sites, concentration camps, death camps, where undesirables were sent. Not necessarily Jews, where anyone undesirable was sent. Anyone who was not making Germany great again. So communists, homosexuals, Catholics. The public, the general German public, that wasn't prevalent enough so that they had to know about it. They did not need to know Kilmar O'Brega. They did not need to know that name, or any of the names. They didn't need to know. They might have heard a rumor. Maybe they were watching state TV, so that the rumors were carefully screened out. They might have heard a rumor that a citizen was just black bag kidnapped off the streets by men who don't. The news might call them ICE agents, Gestapo agents, but they don't identify as that. No one can prove that that's what they are. They're just gone. The person's just gone. Anyway, each chapter of The Nazi Mind highlights a different warning for our own times, educating readers on the techniques dictators use to subvert our freedoms. The author identifies cognitive and sociological tactics such as the use of conspiracy theories, us versus them thinking, and scapegoating, ones we may recognize in our political leaders today. Notice that the publisher, Public Affairs, is terrified. I don't recognize any of those things in Mitt Romney. I don't recognize any of those things in Elizabeth Warren. And you and I both know who we do recognize those things in, the Nazis that are running this country. That's who we recognize these things in. We don't recognize these in Bernie Sanders or Angus King. Anyway, this book uncovers the stories of infamous Nazis such as Himmler, Röhm, Heydrich, Streicher, Göring, and Hitler to help us understand how and why Nazism proliferated. Although the Nazi Socialist German Workers' Party no longer exists today, the essential values of Nazism, hatred, scapegoating, anti-Semitism, racism, violent nationalism, remain significant threats to 21st century democracy. Okay. All right. Well, this is going to be tough reading, but I will definitely do it. I will definitely do it. I don't think that I have the advanced copy, but I will definitely pore over this finished copy, although I don't think I'll review it. I'm kind of hoping that David will review this for Open Letters. I'm kind of hoping that he will. I always view it as a banner day. When I get Hannah from Hannah's Books to write one of her wonderful, thoughtful reviews of some egghead intellectual book of some kind, or when I get David to write about economics or Nazi Germany or whatnot, I view those as banner days. I do. That's a joy for Open Letters review. I wish that I could get a couple of other people, but they insist on writing for money. But anyway, this book makes me wish that I still kept a copy. There was a big book by Richard Evans called Hitler's People that came out last year, I think, or maybe the year before that. I really enjoyed it, and I did not keep a copy. I think I sent one copy to David, but I didn't keep the copy that I had, and I wish I had. I would like to go back to that book. But anyway, The Nazi Mind. And then we have one more package. Hopefully no ranting. And then we'll be done. We'll be done for today. And considering that we shouldn't be getting mail on a Sunday anyway, I think it'll be just fine. What is this? Oh, what is this? All right, is this a paperback original? Yes. Yes, this is going to be a $19 paperback. This is by Freya Sampson, and it's called The Busybody Book Club. Little eyes on the shelves there. So the author is a USA Today best-selling author, beloved for her heartwarming stories of found family and connection. And she returns to the page this spring with her second feel-good mystery. A feel-good mystery. So nobody's going to die? Nosy Neighbors was the first one in 2024. Did any of you read that? I think I got that and didn't read it. Was a delightful success and an instant bestseller. This new book, The Busybody Book Club, finds a ragtag group of book club members who must solve the disappearance of one of their own, drawing on inspiration from their favorite fictional sleuths to do so. Oh, that is incredible. Oh, that's amazing. If that's done well, that souls me completely. Sampson is known for delivering contemporary novels set against a quaint English backdrop, led by a coterie of quirky yet charming characters forced together by shared circumstance, whose lives are improved by the kindness and support they show one another and their communities. Oh my God. Oh my God. All right. Calm down. Okay. You hate straight people. All right. Calm down. All right. Her debut, Last Chance Library, the story of a shy young librarian who leads a motley crew of patrons to protest the closing of their local library, was a Good Morning America Buzz book pick and a Library Reads pick. In 2022, The Lost Ticket again introduced unlikely protagonists who unite on a London bus route to help a stranger, demonstrating how small acts of kindness can make a big difference. And in this book, a multi-generational group rallies together to solve a crime and save their community center in the process. Sampson's books are not only fun to read, they also tap into the importance of community and our shared lived experiences, delivering timely social commentary. Okay, I have to read the author's bio. I know you all scream at me not to do that, because that means to me not uploading the video. I have to read the author's bio to you. I have to. Let's find the author's bio and just read it. There's no author bio on this. Do we have one in the book? Is it that bad? Oh my. Oh, there we go. USA Today best-selling author. Okay, we got that. And we've heard about the earlier book. She studied history at Cambridge University and worked in television as an executive producer, making documentaries about everything from the British royal family to neighbors from hell. That sounds completely normal. It sounds engaging. She lives in London with her husband, children, and cats. And this is her fourth novel. What on earth? She has cats. Nobody's perfect. But still. It's a black and white photo, but she does not appear to have blue hair. One half of her head is not shaved bald. She does not have a nose ring like a livestock cattle. And there's nothing in her bio about... well, how odd. Okay. All right, maybe this is about found family. I'm so used to found family being a code word, a euphemism. That maybe that actually is what this book is about. Have any of you read this author? I was vilifying her prematurely. All right, well, this comes out at the end of May as a paperback original, so this is what it's going to look like. It sounds like a lot of fun. I wonder which sleuths they'll actually imitate. The famous ones, or will they pick maybe less famous ones? All right, well, this is a May release, and that's what comes out 1 month from now. So there you go. We have 2 hardcovers. Don't Forget Me, Little Bessie by James Lee Burke and The Nazi Mind by Lawrence Rees. Those are both tried and true authors with me, which means a lot. That they're both authors that I know I like. Unless one of them egregiously drops the ball, I don't have many worries. And a lot of people like this person. I don't think I've ever read her, but it sounds like a lot of people love her, and I love the premise of this thing. And was I right that these are all May releases? Am I remembering that? May? No, June. The James Lee Burke is early June. So the first 2 are May, and then early June, basically May. Interesting. Okay, well, there you go. That is the mail plus infuriating letters in the New Yorker. One of them was infuriating anyway, so I'll wrap this up for now. Sunday mail haul. How do you like them apples? But I'll be back. Thank you, BookTube.